Alright everyone, what's up? This is Epo Dempsey Roll here, aka Rayo, and this time we're going to be talking a little bit about Dragon's Dogma. So for anyone that's stuck with my channel, whether it be YouTube or on Twitch, for any length of time, you might know that I'm a big Dragon's Dogma fan. Dragon's Dogma was actually the first game that I seriously uploaded to YouTube, as well as the first game that I played on Twitch. And incidentally, it is now the 10th anniversary. Starting this month, we are celebrating the 10th anniversary of Dragon's Dogma, which is pretty hard to believe. It's pretty crazy that we've come this far with this game. Um, and in fact, on a personal note, it's been just about more than a year. It's just like a year and some change since I've started to really build my YouTube channel as well as stream on Twitch. So these two things are kind of coinciding in a weird way. But regarding Dragon's Dogma, just a little bit of my own personal history. I've played this game right about when it came out, and I loved it. And then, of course, the DLC came out, and I fell in love with it all over again. I put a tremendous amount of time into this game, playing it multiple times, getting the platinum trophy, and I even went so far as to buy this game multiple times on multiple platforms. So I've bought it. I've bought Dragon's Dogma, the original version on PS3, and then I actually ended up buying the same game all over again once the Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen came out. I instead of just purchasing the DLC separately, I ended up just buying the disc again, and then some time passes. I was kind of in the mood to play the game, so I ended up getting it on PS4 on disc, and then through a series of weird circumstances, I ended up getting buying the game again digitally on PS4. So that's four times that I've purchased Dragon's Dogma, and why not make it a fifth? Why not make it a sixth? This game has been released on PC, where there's a very healthy modding scene for it, with a lot of really interesting, great mods for it. As well, it's been released on the Switch, and I think it's actually fairly good on the Switch. So yeah, there's more ways to purchase Dragon's Dogma now more than ever. So why not get a few more versions of it? I like the game that much. It's hard. It's kind of hard to believe, but yeah. And further to the point, and I know we're just staring at this screen here, but we can kind of get into this very short little celebratory webpage, but I just wanted to kind of go over my personal history with the game. Um, to me, this is my dream game, Dragon's Dogma. It's very close to being pretty much my dream game. So when I was a kid, like 8, 10 years old, even into my teenage years, basically my dream game would have been something like the Dungeons and Dragons arcade game, right? Made by Capcom, was a beat 'em up. I love that game too. Something like that, but just expanded and bigger, and uses taking advantage of modern graphical capabilities and better action and all of that stuff. Just a very loose and flimsy idea for what that game might be. And then lo and behold, years later, Dragon's Dogma comes out, and the more I play it, the more I start to realize this is it. This is the game that I've wanted for a very long time as a kid, ever since I was a kid, and and yeah, it was developed by Capcom. It still has some of that DNA, and I think it was very deliberate on Capcom's part to kind of and the directors to kind of have these little connections, these little references and notes to that Dungeons and Dragons game. But yeah, it's my dream game. And there are flaws with this game, no doubt. It is 10 years old now at this point, but even back then, I think it was kind of plain to see that there was some issues, some things that people didn't like about it, namely the pawns and how chatty they are, or how what's the word, like how inefficient they are with their AI and stuff. But you take the bad with the good, and I think overall the overall balance of things, it still leans more towards the good side for Dragon's Dogma all these years later. And nowadays we've got games like Skyrim, or even Elden Ring most recently, which in theory should sort of like wipe the floor with Dragon's Dogma. You know, like it should once Elden Ring comes out, we should all be like, Dragon's Dogma, what? You know? And yet, I'm playing Elden Ring right now, and still to this day, I still think that there's things that Dragon's Dogma, 10 years later, is doing better than Elden Ring, which was released not too long ago. Namely, the sense of danger that you have at nighttime, even the sense of danger from the enemies in general, the intensity of the action and the free flowing movement, the amount of customizability. There are little things, big and large, with Dragon's Dogma that I think they did better than even the great and powerful Elden Ring, believe it or not. But yeah, so let's celebrate Dragon's Dogma once again, the 10th year anniversary. Let's take a quick look at this website. It's not a terribly large website. I haven't really went through it myself, so let's just take a look. Now, there is a video here. However, there's no sound. As far as I know, there's no sound with the video. It's just this quick little teaser with like images of stuff. So let's just take a quick look at that. Dragon's Dogma 10th anniversary. There's Damien. There's the Gazer. I think there's the anime, which I haven't actually seen. 10th Dragon's Dogma. There it is. And that was it. That was just a tiny little video. There's a bit more to this website, so let's take a look. This image, by the way, I am not sure if this is a previously used image or is this a unique illustration made specifically for the 10th anniversary. I think it might be new. And I like the little glowing embers flowing around. But yeah, this is a really cool piece of artwork. There's the Arisen and Grigori, and he's sort of pointing down, and presumably he might have like the heart of the Arisen on his fingertip. It's a very classic pose that happens at the start of the game. Starting May 2022, Dragon's Dogma is celebrating its 10th anniversary. Okay. DD 10th anniversary message. This is from the director, I think? Or it doesn't really say who it's from. Dragon's Dogma first appeared in 2012, is celebrating its 10th anniversary. Thank you, Arisen, for taking up arms and braving through the impossible challenges laid ahead of you. We are forever grateful for your support throughout the years and hope you will join us in this momentous celebration of Dragon's Dogma. That's what I'm doing now. I'm celebrating Dragon's Dogma. Okay, are you listening, Capcom? Oh, yeah, Hideaki Itsuno. I believe that's what this says here. That's the director from Dragon's Dogma, 10th anniversary. And so we can kind of do a little speculation a little later, but that's the director, Itsuno. And here we have the history timeline for Dragon's Dogma. And yeah, I scrolled to the far right of this, but let's just go straight to the beginning. Dragon's Dogma Digital Comic Prologue. The Dragon's Dogma Digital Comic Prologue depicts events that precede the main game. So you can watch this video. I don't think I want to play that video right now. You guys can kind of do that on your own time and visit this site. Enjoy and celebrate yourselves. But yeah, this will be the prologue. So that's what came out first. And so we're going through the timeline. That would be 2012. And then 2012, right here again. This is the game itself. Set forth Arisen, the original Dragon's Dogma, an action-packed fantasy adventure through a cursed world. As an Arisen, you master 9 distinct vocations and team up with up to 3 pawns to form a fierce party to challenge the mightiest monsters and challenges ahead of you. And then we have Dark Arisen, 2013, a year later. The world of Dragon's Dogma grows bleaker with Dark Arisen, an expansion centered around the ominous new location, Bitter Black Isle. And this expansion, Dark Arisen, really kind of, it did what all great expansions do, you know? It takes whatever was great about the original base game and kind of expands upon it, right? And actually, not only that, it kind of turns some things that you take for granted about the main game and turns it on its head or upends your expectations, because when I had heard that there was going to be a DLC for Dragon's Dogma, my initial thought was, okay, they're going to populate the open world with more things, maybe a more new towns or villages, more side quests that can occur in the open world and stuff. Because as it is, there's not a lot of stuff that you can do in the open world in the base game, right? Like there's not in the sense of like a game like Red Dead Redemption or GTA 4. I'm not saying that the game should be like those games, but when you think of an open world or Elden Ring, or sorry, Elder Scrolls, when you think of those games, there's just a lot of stuff to find in the open world, and that's not really the case with Dragon's Dogma. And you can kind of get into a lot of the issues that the game had with production, and certain things were cut, which was well documented in the art book and stuff like that. But nevertheless, I felt like the base game was good. Now, Dark Arisen, as I said, you might think they would fill those things out that may have been missing, but instead they actually went deeper into the whole dungeon aspect, such that you were just going down and deeper into a giant dungeon, right? One singular massive dungeon, and you continue to go further and further into it, which was really fun. And of course, you became more powerful, and you fought this guy here, which was really cool. And then we have the Steam version, Dark Arisen on Steam, the definitive version of Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. Experience this grand adventure as you battle legendary monsters, navigate vast landscapes, and explore the cavernous ruins of Bitter Black Isle. This definitive version adds a new layer of visual fidelity and introduces a myriad of quality of life improvements. So yeah, that would be the the Steam PS4 and Xbox One version, which again I bought, and yeah, I very well may buy another version of it on Steam. And then we have the Switch version. I haven't actually seen this piece of artwork before. That's pretty cool. That's the Arisen and the Pawn, and it's Grand Soren. Yeah, this is a nice piece of artwork. I actually haven't seen this before. Dragon's Dogma for Dark Arisen for the Nintendo Switch. The heart-pounding adventure in a high fantasy world can be enjoyed at home or on the go. Yeah, that would be really appealing to me. And then we have the anime. The original animated series debuted exclusively on Netflix worldwide in September 2020. Throughout 7 richly depicted episodes, we follow Ethan in his journey from becoming an Arisen to challenging the dragon that took his heart. So, full disclosure here, I have not seen this. I have heard that the quality of this thing varies. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I'm only repeating what I've heard. Maybe I'll watch this someday and I'll report back to you guys if you really think if this sounds like something you might want to hear my opinions on. Maybe I'll do that. But yeah, I haven't seen this. Yeah, and that's all there is for this sort of timeline. So that's the end of the timeline, 2020. So it's 2 years later. And are we due for an update to this timeline? And in what way? We don't know yet. And that is the extent of this little, anniversary webpage, right? The timeline stops at 2020. We are now in 2022, celebrating the 10th anniversary of Dragon's Dogma, the original base game, a game that it's one of my top 5 games of all time, easily. So let us speculate here. This is Itsuno. This message, once again, was from Itsuno, the director of Dragon's Dogma. It's the type of game, it sounded like this was something that he had wanted to make for a very, very long time. Now, most people might know Itsuno from the Devil May Cry series. He's directed the bulk of the games now at this point. Definitely 5 and 4 and 3, I'm sure. Possibly parts of 2. It's a little fuzzy with 2. That's a whole other issue. But yeah, at this point, he's mostly known for directing the Devil May Cry franchise, and he does an excellent job with that. Now, the story goes that when it came a couple years ago, when it came to deciding what Itsuno was going to be doing next over at Capcom, they presented him with 2 options. Option 1, you could work on the next Devil May Cry game, or option 2, you could work on another Dragon's Dogma game. And from his perspective, he felt like it had been long enough since we had received a new Devil May Cry game, and so he was like, let's do Devil May Cry 5. And that game was fantastic. That's another franchise that I love. Um, Now, speculation time. The thought goes that now that he had that game kind of go through his system, maybe now he is refocusing and working on Dragon's Dogma 2. That's the speculation, and there's a number of rumors regarding Dragon's Dogma. And in fact, I made a little rumor video about Dragon's Dogma, and there really hasn't been much information, only rumor. And again, it's just rumors about what this game might be like. Are we due for new information regarding Dragon's Dogma 2? Are we going to hear about that this year? It's the 10th anniversary, right? So now is as good a time as any, right, to hear about something within the next few weeks to months, perhaps. I mean, I always hold out for new information whenever like a big gaming event comes out, like a conference for Sony or Microsoft, or if Capcom is going to be having some kind of thing at E3, which isn't really a thing anymore. I always kind of hold out like, oh, are we gonna hear about Dragon's Dogma 2? And it never really pans out, right? So I'm kind of used to that at this point. But hope springs eternal, right? We can always hope that there is more information. I think it's happening. It's just a matter of time. But this is the start. I think this really is the start of getting that ball rolling, kind of building up steam, building up interest, getting people to talk about the game as I am doing now. Uh, and then eventually they'll hit us with some information for Dragon's Dogma 2. 2022, it's going to happen, guys. All right? Yeah, I think that's going to do it for me. What are your thoughts about Dragon's Dogma and the 10th anniversary of the game? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You guys know the deal. Follow the almighty algorithm, right? All right, that's it for me. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you next time. GG.